Train services and the buses look set to run normally on Monday after the health unions call off the day of action. This new development in the health workers' dispute came after their talks late last night at the conciliation service ACAS. The two sides agreed to hold talks tomorrow and Monday. Len Murray, the TUC General Secretary, was asked to call off the day of action, and a colleague is now getting in touch with the transport unions. When the health unions left ACAS late last night, it was thought there'd be little new on offer, and ACAS's chairman gave little away to Martin Aidney about tomorrow's meeting.
It will be the first direct negotiations, the first direct discussions of a formal character that the parties have had since September.
So one could say there is now a basis for negotiation, is there?
There is, at least they're talking or will be talking in the same room together. I'm obviously hopeful that out of that they will be able to negotiate some agreement, yes.
Can you say whether there's been any improved offer or a hint of an improved offer?
No, we have no indications at all about what is going to be offered by the employer next week. All we have been concerned with tonight is to create a situation in which those negotiations can be resumed. But the nature of the offer is a matter for the employer on Sunday and Monday.
Although the health dispute seems to be ending, the government faces other politically sensitive problems on Monday. The Chancellor, Sir Geoffrey Howe, will then reveal what financial help he's planning for industry. It could include a reduction in the national insurance surcharge. He'll also announce his plans for pensions and other social benefits. An attempt to censure the National Trust for leasing land to the Ministry of Defence has been defeated. A group of campaigners forced an extraordinary general meeting to protest about the decision to allow the Royal Air Force 12 acres on the National Trust estate at Bradenham, near High Wycombe, to build an underground communications bunker. This report from Francis Coverdale.
The Bradenham estate, 1,100 acres of farmland and beechwood, is, all agree, an area of outstanding natural beauty. But next to it is the RAF's strike command, and when they needed a new underground communications centre, Bradenham was their obvious choice. The National Trust, though reluctant, agreed to lease the 12 acres wanted, and excavation work is already underway. But the Trust's decision caused a rumpus among some of its members, resulting in today's extraordinary general meeting. It's not just the decision they objected to, but the way it was taken. The protesters complained that members weren't consulted, and though they agreed that the Trust would probably have lost the land if it had entered a legal battle with the ministry, they say it should at least have fought. Today the issue was settled by a 6-to-1 vote in favour of the Trust, but at a cost of £100,000 had any good come from it.
Yes, I think so. I regret the cost. I don't think it was all necessary, but I think we're not a body with a closed mind. I believe we will learn from it. I believe we will benefit from it. So it has not all been a waste of money.
Do you feel that perhaps by kicking up a fuss you have harmed the National Trust?
I would be very, very grieved if I thought that we had. Our whole concern in this has been that we felt that that officers, for whatever reason, perhaps they had very little option, they were pushed. But they made decisions that we felt were serious mismanagement, that damaged the concepts of the Trust and the purposes of the Trust. And we felt that it was necessary, therefore, to speak up in the interests of the National Trust.
The miners' leader, Arthur Scargill, has been urging anti-nuclear protesters to carry out a campaign of civil disobedience. He told a rally at Central Hall, Westminster, that passive arguments hadn't influenced government policy and they needed a more positive approach. Pope John Paul has called for an end to separatist terrorism in Spain. He was visiting the troubled Basque region only 3 days after the murder by separatist guerrillas of one of Spain's top generals. Last night, his Pope-mobile caught fire because confetti blocked the radiator grille. But he used one again today on his way to plead for no more violence. David Willey watched the Pope arrive.
Over 10,000 Basques had gathered here to hear the Pope's speech in front of the shrine of St. Ignatius Loyola, the founder of the powerful Roman Catholic religious order, the Jesuits. The Pope said that some Basques had let themselves be tempted by what he called materialist ideologies and by violence. He said he spoke with the experience of someone who had personally suffered from violence. Special especially heavy security was in evidence for this visit. The Pope was greeted here by the local civil governor, who has boycotted the meeting earlier this week in Madrid between the Pope and civic leaders from the rest of Spain. Pope John Paul began his homily by uttering words of peace in the Basque language. Then, going into Spanish, he made a strong attack on terrorist violence. Christianity, the Pope said, understood and recognized the noble and just struggle for justice at all levels, but it forbade solutions of hate and death. Following the line that he adopted during his visit to Ireland 3 years ago, the Pope said violence was not a way of building.
Italy has asked the United Nations to investigate the disappearance of people in Argentina, including about 300 Italian citizens. This follows the recent discovery near Buenos Aires of unmarked graves believed to contain victims of the army's war against left-wing guerrillas in the late 70s. The demand for the inquiry was announced by the Italian foreign minister on his return from the United Nations, where Italy had abstained on the Falklands vote. Now, tennis and the United States have retained the Whitmore Cup. In the decisive match at the Albert Hall this afternoon, Barbara Potter beat Britain's Joan Dury in 3 sets. Miss Dury took the first set 7-5, lost the second on a tie-break, but began the final set in commanding form. But gradually the American fought back, and at 5-2 she served for the match and the tie.
Well played, Barbara Potter. The Americans have won the Whitmore Cup for the 44th time.
Now, soccer and Liverpool go 2 points clear at the top of Division 1 after beating Everton at Goodison Park. Everton had Glenn Keeley sent off for a professional foul, and Ian Rush scored a hat-trick as Liverpool won 5-0. And in Scotland, Celtic won 3-2 at Dundee and stay top of Premier Division. Thousands of people queued at post offices around Britain last night for a chance to run in London's next marathon. 7 o'clock this morning was opening time for postal applications. Nicholas Witchell was at London's chief post office.
Running 26 miles certainly isn't everybody's idea. Yet the modern phenomenon, the city centre marathon, is evidently so popular now that people are prepared to queue, literally for days, for a chance just to take part.
How long have you been here?
We've been here since Thursday evening, 7 o'clock Thursday evening.
So 36 hours of waiting.
That's it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 7 o'clock. They're open.
At 7 o'clock this morning at post offices all over the United Kingdom, tens of thousands of would-be runners entered for the 18,000 places on next April's starting line.
This is the ultimate challenge. They're going to be challenged to do something really difficult. And there's also a great sense of family about it. They're all part of a great, large family trying to do what a lot of the rest of the world considers to be impossible.
So your advice, go and run 26 miles.
Not at this hour in the morning.
And what will the prospective runners be doing for the next 5 months? Well, at least 50 miles a week, said one, in preparation.
And that's it for now. I'll be back at 9 o'clock with our next news bulletin.